Tanya Unkovich joins me by phone now. We're actually talking about, I think, quite a difficult topic, but one that you can really speak to, Tanya, and that is talking about, how do we support, how do we talk to someone who has a terminal diagnosis? Tanya, welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Oh, doing well. But this is a really big thing and a really big topic. And this is something that you are familiar with. Can you talk through just very briefly your own story and how you had to do this, and then maybe we can go through some of those steps?
Sure thing. Well, I've had both parents go through cancer. Dad actually was diagnosed 4 times. Mum had cancer. I've had loads of friends and other family members with cancer. I've worked at a holistic medical clinic where a lot of the patients who came through had cancer. And then, of course, the big finale, my late husband, Phil, was diagnosed with cancer and, of course, died of cancer. So since then, I've been helping a lot of people at the end stage of their life, or widows and widowers, to then pick their lives up again and move forward, go from grief to greatness, I call it.
Yeah. So, you've been through this yourself multiple times. What would you say to someone who is just at that early stage of supporting or loving someone who's been given a terminal diagnosis?
Well, the thing is, they're going through a lot of shock and, why me? Bit of anger probably, but shock is a big one. And, when you're communicating with someone who's just been given this news, don't have any expectations, just whatever comes out, allow it to be, allow them to get it out and be there for them, listen to them, hear them without any form of judgment, because anything comes out of your mouth, and that's from experience. You say crazy things even, but, the shock, the horror, the extremes, ups and downs with emotions, just expect anything and be prepared to just be there for them and let them let it out. Allow them that space to let it out. Make it all about them.
So what I'm hearing there is actually it is more about the listening than about the trying to give advice or doing all the talking. You're listening and letting them do the talking.
Very much so, and as much as we want to help someone else and then start sharing our own story, I'm going to invite people to say, actually, just keep that to yourself, because someone else's grief always triggers your own. And you can't help but go, oh, I remember when I went through that, or it was like this for me. And, as much as you want to do it from a caring place, it would be more caring to just, keep it to yourself if you can, and just allow them to get out what is there for them. Of course, be there and reassure them in that, but do your best to make it all about them.
And showing up is a really big thing, isn't it? Sometimes when someone is going through something hard, we kind of want to step back. We're not sure if we should get involved, but actually turning up can be a really good thing.
Yes, turning up and being present with them, which means being mindful of your own emotions. And, none of us want to feel grief. None of us want to feel pain. We just want to run a mile, and we don't know how to be around someone who is going through this horror and terror. So it may mean that you have to get a bit of support from a family member, or even get help yourself. Hey, how do I deal with my close friend who's just been given this diagnosis, or family member, and make sure that you fill your cup up with emotional self-care and physical self-care, so that you can then show up and be there for the other person. So, yeah, big journey.
It is a really big journey. Now, you've also written something here about forgiveness and forgiving one another. What do you mean by that?
I suppose as people's journey goes along and their health is declining, it's really important to give them the space to be able to share and say everything that they want to say to you. And you reciprocate, do the same. If there is anything there that needs to be healed, needs to be forgiven, amends made, then have the courage. If they don't have the courage to speak up and say anything about it, maybe you can say, and just do it because you want to share it with them and give them the opportunity to say, yep, let's forget about this, let's heal it, let's move on. So, excuse me, going through those times of healing, forgiveness, letting go is very, very important for not only for the person at the end stage of their life, but also for the family, to make sure that there is nothing left unsaid.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think this is really important what you've got written here, and that is treating them as living human beings. So does that mean sort of occasionally just going out and having a sneaky coffee together and trying to have some fun, in the midst of it? Or what does that look like, I guess it depends at what stage they're at, isn't it?
Yes, and always remember that people are living with cancer and to do what you can to support them to live with cancer and not for a part of them to have already disappeared, died, passed on already. Do your best to sometimes even be a bit playful, but to help them to live with cancer, help them to not be drowned by fear, but to still allow joy into their life and participate in that joy with them. Because at the end of the day, none of us know when our final day is, do we? Whether we've been given a terminal diagnosis or not. None of us know. So do your best to treat them as if they are normal human beings, no different, and allow them to have a bit of fun, be silly if that's what they want to do as well.
Yeah. Now, I mean, the next two things are the hardest things, I think, and this is really when a person is at the end of their life, and that's sort of letting go and saying goodbye. I mean, how do you even begin that process?
Give them the permission that it's okay to go, especially if it's at that very end stage. So often they just want to hang on. But if you are able to say to them, it's okay for you to go now, I'll be okay, you'll be okay, help them to pass without fear, that could be one of the greatest gifts that you give to them.
Just letting them know it's okay.
Yeah, and I'll be okay. I will be okay. And to be able to say goodbye, to be able to surrender in a way, let go, and do it with dignity, help them to pass with dignity. That's such a great gift.
Yeah. I mean, that was your journey, right?
It was my journey, and it was something that I did when Phil was in the last 30 minutes of his life, and I truly don't really know where those words came from, I've got to be honest. They just came, and in hindsight, it was, the best thing I could have done. It was a moment of brilliance, and I don't know where it came from. It was a God-given brilliance where I was able to say to him, it's okay for you to go now, because a part of me knew he wanted to hang on, but I also knew a part of him wanted to actually just go, I'm out of here, I'm checking out, I'm ready. Yeah. And it was really within minutes of me saying that he did turn his head and quietly slipped away. So a very powerful moment, one that you never forget, and one that is very powerful. And, this is life. This is something that we are all going to have to face one day. And instead of it being something that we fear, something that no one wants to talk about, how about we embrace this? Embrace this part of life, this cycle of life, and make it a beautiful thing. It is possible to do that.
Now, as part of your journey, now you are helping people who are going through this journey. If someone is there, maybe they're the support person, maybe they're the person who is going through a terminal illness, can they get in contact with you? What's the best way to do so?
Sure thing. Look, I'm all over social media. You can go to my website and send me an email through there, TanyaUnkovich.com, but all over social media, you'll be able to track me down and send me a message that way.
And you've written some really good articles on this as well, which I've been reading. Hey, thanks for being a part of the show, Tanya. I really appreciate it.
You are so welcome.